Hi, I'm Alexa. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Reddit advice. And I guess it's not just on Reddit, but the Am I the A-hole series of posts. I've read a few recently, and I've noticed this trend of people jumping to an extreme. And for example, one of the ones I read recently was allegedly, we don't know if these are made up by the poster or if they're true, but allegedly a sort of 16-year-old son. The mother died when he was younger. The dad got remarried when he was 10, and apparently spends way more time and prioritizes his stepkids over his son because he doesn't want them to feel like he loves someone more than the other, which ironically would then have the effect of making the son feel like he is less loved than the stepkids. And I was reading the comments, and there were these people saying just get a job, save up for 2 years, and then get out of there. Cut them off. And listen, this blows my mind. I have a video on parental estrangement. I haven't spoken to my mother this time for over 6.5 years. And I don't foresee ever talking to her again. There's not going to be a day that she is not who she is, and she will cross boundaries that I will refuse to be let to be crossed. So the only way to ensure that that doesn't happen is to not play her games, to not be around her. For people on the internet, on one post on Reddit or wherever, whatever platform, to jump into these extremes without knowing the other side of the story, with only taking what that person has written as truth, this example and several examples, they'll say, when I spoke to them, well, they said this. Well, did that person actually say that, or is that what you understood them to say based on your own perception filters? Because remember, communication is not just about us saying something. It's about the other person, the recipient, receiving it as you intended it to be received. And listen, when you're a teenager, your body physiologically is going through such ridiculous changes, has so many hormones. It's why memories of our teenage years are so vivid, whereas things later in our life are like, whatever. It's because the heightened physiological things in our body, the heightened emotions come along from the hormones and everything going on in our brain as it's becoming even more developed. The memories get encoded more strongly. And I don't know if, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your memories are. But if you think back to your teenage years, there's probably some very, very strong, vivid memories in there for you. That makes it a lot more difficult, especially as your brain hasn't really developed. And really, as humans, we never stop learning how to communicate. We take things when we're teenagers much more, I don't want to say seriously, but bigger. Everything is bigger. And this Reddit advice is really, really troubling me, that people are jumping in, and you'll see the comments that are based on their own experience. Well, your experience isn't the same as this person's. What happened with you and the things that you're saying for them to do might not actually align or be the right thing. Estrangement from a family member should be your last resort. It was mine. I tried everything that I could think of, that I had talked out with therapists, that, I looked up on the internet and read research papers and all of the learning that I have done over my life. I tried everything I could think of. Where is the common sense? Because it seems like when people ask for advice, whether it's on the internet or in real life, people jump to extremes. And I can't wrap my head around why that is where they're going to. Where must these people be in their life that makes the most sense to them to give us advice? In this situation, I'd want to know more information. I would want to gently ask, what were the words he actually used? Not what you thought he said, but what was actually done. There are times you say he doesn't go to any of your shows or sports games or whatever events if your siblings have some sort of event on, right? But has he ever missed any of their events for you? Because listen, if he's doing it equally, which it did sound like it probably wasn't equally done, but if it's equal, even if it is equal, because it hurts and because our brains recognize hurt much more than positive and good feelings, it's going to seem like it's all the time that the dad is doing this, when in reality it could be quite equal. And feelings are not, I've said this in multiple videos, feelings are not facts. Feelings are an indicator, a signpost. It says something here is important. Please look at this. And when you're a teenager, your feelings are going to be massive. They're going to just be overwhelming. We need to start making that okay and making it commonplace to sit and look at our feelings. We can't make other people, for example, if the dad is not open to listening to his son in this one scenario, yeah, but at 16, to be telling him to get a job, wait 2 years, and just get out of there and never look back, that is such a dereliction of duty of care as we as people have for the people around us. There are things between doing nothing and just putting up with what's going on and completely blowing the joint and getting out of there, right? There's so many steps in between. There are some situations where, well, this is another one, and this one I think at least most of the advice I had seen on this one, a 22-year-old went on vacation with family members. Her parents were not there, but aunts, uncles, cousins' children, and her dad had bought her a hotel room. And then over the course of the vacation, the cousin and her husband wanted this girl to switch with them so that she was in with their kids. And the aunt was demanding it. And and then when she said, no, I need my own space, they apparently completely blocked her, like basically ignored her, and went out to amusement park or something, and treated her like she wasn't there, and then said, did you learn your lesson at dinner? And like, you're going to switch. We're not going to talk to you unless you give us the key to the room and switch. That's definitely like, yeah, no. You're a parent, you had kids, you want a room to yourself, buy a second room, just like every other parent out there has to do. You don't get to bully a younger cousin into giving up a room that was bought for her by her parents, providing for her. You don't get to do that. But some of the advice on that one even was change your room, do what you want to do, go out. I don't know if you remember when you were 22, but not all of us when we were 22 have a lot of money. And if her dad was buying the hotel room for her and she wasn't paying for her own stuff, she might not have the money to go do a bunch of these suggestions like rub it in their face, go out, go to the best places and visit all the attractions. And it's like, well, she might not be able to do that. There's also some, common ground in there. I would say never go on vacation with them again, unless you're completely in a separate hotel and they can't do it to you, right? Make sure when you do go on vacation with those people, you do have your own plans that you can fall back on if something happens. But this overarching theme of jumping to extremes in this advice on the internet has got to stop. Like, it's not productive. It's not actually helping people who are asking for legitimate advice. I don't tend to play into a lot of the drama, or I try not to. There's a lot of stuff that people around me will go through, or I see on internet, or, news stories, whatever. And I'm just like, that's really not a big deal. There's way more important stuff in life. You can't let that stuff bother you. I have come a long way on my journey to this point. I was not this way when I was younger. I was just like every other teenager, our physiological, the emotions, the hormones. On top of that, my childhood trauma was never dealt with. Like, I was a whole hot mess. I couldn't deal with anything. I mean, I could, but I couldn't, just like most teenagers. My journey has brought me to this point, and I do think there's an irony in that you do have to go through bad things to understand how minor a lot of our daily life stuff is. And this in no way, shape means whatever, means that I don't have those moments when I get frustrated, especially if there's a pattern of treatment. The way someone is treating me becomes a pattern. That's when I start to get really frustrated, when I am made to feel like I am being ignored, even though I'm the person with a subject matter expertise, right? And I was invited into a conversation for that expertise. That gets very frustrating to me. And this week has been sort of an up and down of realizing how out of a lot of drama I am, but also where I still have work to do, because I do still have work to do. Where are some triggers that they're buttons that people push and I let them get pushed still? I want to stop that. I want to continue to grow and brush off these things that I really don't need to worry about. But I think the more I read things like Am I the Asshole, and anywhere they post these across, social media, the more I look at the advice, there'll be those moments of reason from people, but there's also a lot of just, why are you jumping to extremes? Why is this what our society is doing? And maybe it's our psychology. I mean, we all love a good bit of drama. That's why we have sitcoms, dramatic sitcoms, movies. We do. We gravitate towards it with our popcorn in hand. If you ask me for advice, you're going to have to be prepared to not like everything I tell you. Unless, and I have done this several times with friends, I will say, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or would you like me to tell you the truth? Because I can't do both, but I'm happy to do either. Because sometimes if a friend is just venting and they just want you to agree with them and just, let them get it out, I get that. I want to do that too. So I figured this was a topic that I've been thinking about for a couple days. It's one I could get on and sort of talk about. I think it does tie back in several ways to my talks about parental estrangement and my talks about struggles and interpersonal relationships. And I do have some expertise in some of these topics that some of these things people are suggesting. And I absolutely would like to stress the gravitas of them being a final solution. Now, that final solution may occur for you when you are young, right? But if there's other stuff you can try in between, it should really be your last resort. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. As always, drop a like, subscribe, maybe share, and I will see you on the next one. Be kind to yourself.